Today we are going to wrap up how to solve systems of equations by elimination. In these cases, they're going to be the ones that we need to multiply both equations by a constant in order for elimination to happen. So let's go ahead and get started. So again, our first step is to figure out what do we need to multiply these equations by in order to eliminate. So again, to go from 4 and 5, we have to multiply these either to make these the same or we can make those the same. So it doesn't matter which ones we eliminate, whether it's the x's or the y's. Generally, I will look at the numbers and usually go with the smaller ones. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and multiply the first equation by 5 and the second equation by -4. So my goal is to make both of these a 20 because 4 times 5 is 20. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to zoom in on this. Here we go. So first one, I'm going to multiply the first equation and the second equation by a constant in order to make them the same. So I'll take the first one and multiply it by 5, which will make it a 20x, and -25x, y, I'm sorry. And 5 times 5 is equal to 25 as well. So I'm going to go ahead now and multiply the second equation by a 4, but it's going to be negative because I want the 20 to cancel with a -20. So the -4 times the 5 is -20x. These will end up canceling. -4 times -6 is +24y. And -4 times 7 is -28. So I'm going to go ahead and add these two equations. So I can eliminate. These will cancel. These will combine and give me -y. And those will combine and give me -3. So I'm just going to go ahead and divide by -1 in order to get the y by itself. And I get +3 for my y value. Now I'm going to go ahead and plug in 3 for the y value. I'm going to use the first equation. So 4x minus 5, substitute y equals 5. I'll plug in that 3 and solve for x from there. So x minus 15 equals 5. Again, add 15, divide by 4. I'm going to get 4x is equal to 20. These 15s cancel. And then wrap it up by dividing by 4. So x is equal to 5. So I have my solution. These two equations that are linear, so the two lines, if I were to graph them, would cross at 5, 3. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next one. I'm going to clear this out. So we're going to scroll up. Second equation. Let's see. Here we go. Look at the first equation. I'm going to decide what should I multiply these two equations by in order to cancel them out. So my goal is to get them to cancel. So I have the choice of multiplying these by 2 and 5, or I can multiply these by what makes them equal to 12. So it doesn't matter, or 24, whatever is easiest for you, whatever you see it easiest for you. So I usually just go with the first one or the smaller numbers. So I'm going to multiply these by 5, and I'll multiply these by -2. I want to make sure that the signs are opposite. So, or I can do -5, +2. Same thing. So here we go. We have 5 times 2 is -10x. 5 times 6 is 30y. And 5 times 16 is going to give me 80. And it should be negative, actually. All right, bottom one, I'm going to multiply it by -2. -2 times -5 is +10. I want the sign to be opposite, and it is now. -4 times -2 is +8y. And 17 times 2 is 34. I'm going to go ahead and add the two equations and use elimination. These cancel. I get 11y. Subtract these, I'm going to get 46. Oh, whoops, I just noticed I made 2 mistakes, so I'm going to go back and correct them real quick. So first one is I forgot the negative on the 34 here. And this is not a 3 plus 8, it's a 30 plus 8. So this should be a 38. Y equals, and again, these will add. So it's going to be 114, and it's going to be negative. I'm going to go ahead and divide by 38. So y equals, let's see, what is 38 into 114? So 38 goes into 114 3 times. And because we have our negative, so it's going to be negative 3. So we have our y value. Now we're going to go ahead and figure out our x value. I'm going to just use that first equation. So I'm going to take the first equation and substitute a negative 3 into it. So negative 2x plus 6, substitute the y, equals to negative 16. I'm going to plug in the negative 3 in there. And from there, just go ahead and solve this. So we have negative 2x minus 18 equals negative 16. Add 18 to both sides. These cancel. Negative 2x equals to 2. And then divide both sides by negative 2. Gives us x equal to negative 1. So my answer is these two intersect at negative 1, comma, negative 3. Final answer. All right, let's go ahead and move on to our next problem. Let's move on to number 3. So we have our two equations. We have to figure out what we want to multiply them by. So we're going to look at our, let's go ahead and this time let's eliminate the y's. Since the numbers are a little smaller, it might be easier. I'm going to make them both into 12s because 4 and 6 are both multiples of 12. Or the easiest way, you can just do the top one by 6, the bottom one by 4, and make them 24s, but that makes your numbers larger, so I'm going to go with a smaller amount. I'm going to multiply them both to make them 12 instead of 24. So I'm going to take the top equation, multiply it by 3. Bottom equation, I'm going to multiply it by 2. I don't have to worry about the signs because they're already opposites. So the first one gets multiplied by 3, so it's going to be negative 24. Let's change the color. Let's go with purple. All right, so negative 24. X, 3 times 4 plus 12, y, equals 3 times 8 is negative 24. Bottom one gets multiplied by 2, so we're just going to double everything, 24x. These will eliminate. Minus 2 times 6 is 12y. Equals 12 times 2 is 24. And we go ahead and add these. Positive and negative 24 cancel. 12 and negative 12 cancel. So this is one of our special cases. So it's 0 equal to 24, and negative 24 also gives us 0. This is not a false statement, but a true statement. 0 is equal to 0. So this tells me that my final answer is infinitely many solutions. So let's write that out. So infinitely many solutions. All right, we have one more to go. I'm going to clear this out. See if you can try it out on your own and then come back and check for it. All right, last problem. So let's look at our equations. What are we going to multiply these by? So in this case, let's go ahead and try to eliminate the second one again. So I'm going to make these into 20s. I can go with 40 because 4 times 10 is 40, but they're also multiples of 20. It's a little bit smaller, so I'm going to go with the smaller value. I'm going to multiply this one by 5 and this one by negative 2. One's negative because the signs have to switch. So when I multiply it by 2 and by 5, I get the following. First equation gets multiplied by 5, we get negative 40. Let me change the color real quick, it's acting weird. So 8 times 5 is negative 40. And we have our x. Second one gets multiplied by 5, 4 times 5 is 20. oops, I accidentally cleared it, so I forgot where I left off. So start again from what I remember. I believe we multiplied the first one by 5. That gave us 20y. We're going to multiply the second one by -2. We're going to get 2 times 20 is 40. X. Both negative becomes a positive. 10 times 2 is -20y. And 0 times 2 is still 0. So we get another special case here where both our variables cancel. In this case, we get 0 equal to -5 and 0. That gives us -5. This right here is a false statement. Therefore, my answer is no solution. All right, go ahead and start your practice problems, and good luck.